welcome for the podcast, and thank you so much for being here.
Thank you, Faris. Thank you so much for inviting me, and it's my pleasure to talking with you.
Yeah, we have lots of people who might want to be hearing about your awesome story and in this awesome place, Lahore, Pakistan. And it'll be great if you could just tell me who you are, just your name, a little bit background about how you started or the story. And then maybe we'll start asking you a few more questions. So I'm sure everybody would love to hear the story, Naveed.
Thank you so much, first of all, and welcome to Pakistan.
Thank you.
Welcome to the land of diversity and accepting people from different, different nationalities and different people from different backgrounds.
Thank you.
So my story starts. I faced, you can say, a discrimination, not in streets,
Okay.
but at my home.
Wow.
Actually, my father was against my education,
Hmm.
and he was interested. Instead of getting the education, I have to do a job with him because he was doing a janitorial job,
Okay.
and he grown up in such a discriminatory environment where he got actually a discrimination at very young age, and he thought if my son got an education, he got a more probability and chances to get a discrimination. So it is not that he is very believing in it, but he was growing in that circumstances.
Okay.
So I have to separate it at the age of 8
Wow.
from my family,
Hmm.
and my mother, took a very hard decision,
Sure.
and she actually admitted me in a boarding hostel
Wow.
where I started my early education.
Okay.
So when I was there, my mother was supporting me throughout that, and this is the beginning of my, the career, my education. But when I go out to the streets at my hometown,
Yes.
I most of the time, my Muslim friends
Yeah.
was saying to me that you have to go on a Jummah in the mosque,
Okay.
and innocently I replied that yes, I go to the my mosque on
Yeah.
a Sunday. So they said no, 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 that was not the our mosque. It's your mosque.
Okay.
So interestingly,
Yeah.
it happened, and then they stopped playing with me.
Oh wow.
So that was a very painful moment. And
Sure.
when my I shared the situation with my mother,
Mhm.
she was already in a pain
Yes.
that I was
Separation.
facing
Yeah.
from my father's end, and and most of the time then I continue spend at boarding hostel, and I
Yeah.
don't want
Mm.
to come
Mm.
and my home.
Yeah.
So that's how the life starts.
Wow.
So
Wow. Amazing. I mean, this. There's much more to it, of course, and we're just trying to get snippet for the audiences so others could understand that there's a struggle sometimes in the journey of entrepreneurship, and it seems like you're doing amazing now. So we'd love to hear what is it that you're doing today.
yeah, first there's a long struggle,
Yes.
and as I shared with you, the story starts at my childhood, and
Yeah.
it's not end up.
No.
And that the things stuck in my mind,
Yes.
how I can be work on that narrative
Uh-huh.
to present an alternative narrative to the community.
Okay.
So when we are not accepting each other,
Yeah.
when we are not like the persons
Yes.
that are different from us.
Yes.
So in 2009, I was a student of mass communication in Former Christian College
Okay.
University, and I got a project under one course, media and peace building.
Okay.
So I went to the to the field,
Okay.
and at that time in 2009, the Gojra incident happened.
Mm.
The Gojra incident was happened with one community in Pakistan in 2009, where 8 people burnt alive, and the 70 plus homes were set on fire,
Mm.
just because of the faith, just because of the violence in the name of religion. And that's not particularly did by done by the Muslim community over there, but a few extremist
Yeah. Sure.
mindsets,
Yeah.
few people who don't want the communities live together.
Sure.
So it happened, and when I was interviewing, when I was recording the interviews as an observer and as a documentary filmmaker, so I heard a very crying voice
Mm.
very next to my door,
Mm.
where I was interviewing, and First, you can imagine, and I still remember that day,
Mm.
that the day the blood and sweat mixed together and give a very nasty smile, and the people who were, set on fire in that home, it was pretty difficult for me. And some one voice came. I, stopped the recording button,
Okay.
and I went to that door,
Okay.
and I hear that 7 to 8 years old uh, girl was crying with pain.
Mm. Mm.
So I can't, share with you. I immediately flash back to my childhood, that how I suffered
Sure.
discrimination at street, at home,
Sure.
and how I grown up, and a lot of people like me were, the victim of that ideology of discrimination
Sure.
and hate. So I decided at that day
Mm.
that I have to devote my life for peace building,
Wow.
and how I can be more, productive for the community and become a bridging and taking a tools of tech communication, filming,
Yeah.
and started a sustainable journey
Okay.
of my cause. Then I started the Soch,
Search.
in English, you can say think, and we, our philosophy is to change the narratives
I
through
love
our
that.
tech communication tools. So that's the beginning in 2014. That's the beginning of my organization.
Okay.
So that's how started, that we have to uh, use our technology
Yes.
to bridging different communities
Yeah.
at the same time, and also how we can support a young blood
Yeah.
to don't go and indulge in extremist activities,
Sure.
and
Sure.
we give them a economic relief,
Okay.
give them a bread, because most of the youth in remote
Yeah.
areas, they under a great influence of extremist
Sure.
group, because they have to earn their daily bread as well, and
Sure.
they are supporting them.
Mm.
So
Mm.
we are giving
Wow.
alternative tools. So that's the beginning of our
Organization.
initiative,
Yeah.
and we call it's more than a social entrepreneurship. It's a peace entrepreneurship.
Love it.
It's a new concept
Yeah.
that we are introducing. At the same time, they have to carry on their peace activism,
Yeah.
and also they can contribute in an economy.
Great. This is well. I mean, it's a very touching story, and I appreciate you sharing that with many of our audiences. One thing that as an entrepreneur, what would be like one challenge that you face and you overcome?
Yeah, there are many
Yes.
big
I'm
challenges,
sure they
but
never stop, right?
yeah, but one of them is being from minority community,
Sure.
being from a village,
Yeah.
being from a very lower, family. It
Mhm.
has to be a very difficult to sustain a entrepreneur world when you don't have anything to invest.
Right.
So you
Except
don't
your
have it.
time.
Yeah, you don't have to take any risk further.
Mhm.
So because you already put a lot of things on stake.
Okay.
So one of them is to how to enter in this world,
Got it.
because I
How to
don't
keep it
have
going,
yeah,
or to start even.
bill, of course, because I don't have money, I
Yes.
don't have space in the heart, I don't have friends, I don't have that thing to start.
Yeah.
So that's the economic, and moral, and financial. So there are so many issues, but I believe if you want to do something,
Yes.
there is a way.
Good for you.
Yeah, and in Urdu I can say there is a one word we have to think about
Which
it.
is
It's jugaad. You
Jagar.
have to think out of the box
Awesome.
how you can move forward. So that was my biggest challenge, and when I entered this industry, I have to think innovatively how what value I'm bringing to
Okay.
the social entrepreneurship, peace entrepreneurship, what tools and techniques I'm going to use. So that's another challenge to explore the world.
Sure.
And I explore from different, you know, reading materials,
Okay.
different startups.
Okay.
Every day I can read out the one startup, how they started,
Yeah.
what the story of this.
Yes.
So it was again my challenge to do that,
Sure.
and then I met a different people how to get started,
Okay.
So these are the all things I done,
Great.
and with no money in a pocket.
Wow, what an amazing story! Indeed. I mean, it's clearly I could keep you here all day. We'll never be done. Just it's a very inspiring story, actually. So, what would be one thing that you think, based on what you're telling me, although you struggle with some things, was there a surprise that you thought something would be harder and it became easier than you thought initially? Was there any surprises like that, or not really?
Yeah, in the beginning,
Yeah.
most of my even friends and
Yes.
even people, they clearly bluntly shared with me that you are on a wrong path.
Okay.
You are not doing a good one, and it's not your field. You
Okay.
have to do something like a job or not.
Engineering.
Yeah, but not particularly, but they said you have to do some one job in a one organization and do your communication work and something like that. That was the first
Sure.
but I worked hard.
Good for you.
And when you are going on the way,
Okay.
everything, and then people get a surprise
Yeah.
what I'm doing. And I also got surprised
Good for
when
you.
I find the people who are supporting you, and over the box, out of the box they are
Yeah.
going to support you. And it has been a great journey. And Faris, I'm going to share with you very
Yes.
briefly
Please.
that as a result of our uh, the struggle, I nominated from US Embassy, the Emerging Leaders of Pakistan,
Wow.
the Atlantic Council of South Asia Center,
Uh-huh.
the fellow, and the USIP, United
Yes.
States Institute of Peace. I represent Pakistan, different forums, and know the Generation Change
Mhm.
Fellow as well.
That gives
So
me goosebumps. Yes,
yeah,
thank you.
so
Wow.
this is what the recognition. And recently, as I shared with you, the Kahani Sanao,
Yes, I remember.
the tell story. It's our project is a very innovative and exciting project for social entrepreneurs, the digital storytellers, the visualizer, the creative communicators. So how they can tell the stories.
Great.
So that's the potent testimony of our work, that we are reaching out to the educational institutes, to the different communities,
Mhm.
and they are getting it, the right tools and techniques, and they are going back to community, not only reforming the communities,
Yes.
but also contributing in a economic welfare of their communities, their families, and also their building their businesses as well.
Wow, Naveed. I mean, it's such a awesome story. I would love to maybe one day we'll interview you for like a few hours
Yeah,
to get more
absolutely.
depth. What would be one thing for you to give out if you could give an insight of one advice, that maybe one word or two for a new entrepreneur today in Pakistan or around the world? What would you say to them in a one or two words that helps them maybe stay the core of entrepreneurship? What would you say?
uh,
One or two words.
yeah, it would be a consistent hard work.
Consistent hard work. Fabulous. Thank you so much for making time. We appreciate you.
Thank you so
And
much.
we wish you
Thank you. And
continued
it's
success.
yeah, it has been a pleasure to talking with you, and thank you so much
Of
for
course, Naveed.
having me with you.
Thank you.
Thank you.